thanking our colleagues who have come to present to us. And like my good friend from Oklahoma, I especially I want to thank Mr. Wolf and Mr. Moran. I had spoken earlier with Mr. Moran and signed on to the legislation, and we'll vote tomorrow for the Federal Employee Retroactive Pay Fairness Act. In the meantime, even though people are assured that if we pass this and if it goes to the Senate and becomes law, that they will be paid, as we speak, the figure that has been continuously put forward here inside the Beltway is that 800,000 federal employees around the United States of America are furloughed at this time. Some people, when they're furloughed, begin looking, as my good friend and ranking member said, for other employment. Some people, when they're furloughed and don't understand all of the dynamics that we do here inside the Beltway, some of them will go get drunk and get in accidents. Some may commit suicide. It is not uncommon at all for people that are thrust into uncertainty to find themselves in that situation. Some of them may very well commit violent acts anywhere around the country. Furloughs cause arguments inside families about money. When I was a state court judge, I was asked once what was the leading cause of divorce. And my little mini study and the hundreds of divorces that I saw allowed that money was number one, way ahead of sex and children that most people thought was the primary reason. So inside some of those furloughed persons, and I might add now, remember, that's 800,000 federal employees. But there are other businesses, and we hear it every day, that are furloughing employees. And why are they doing that? They're doing it first for the purpose of their bottom lines. And what they see and say is that they have to furlough their people because there isn't as much demand. Pratt Whitney and Sikorsky that make the Black Hawk helicopter furloughing a significant number of people. So that adds to the furlough business. For my friends in Florida, I learned today that come Friday, 104 Head Start centers will be closed. And you can pass this measure tomorrow, as I suspect you will, and I will vote against it, this so-called Head Start for Low-Income Children Act, not because I have not spent pretty much the entirety of my career, as have many of you, advocating for children ages 3 and up to have early childhood school experiences. Many of them come from homes where they don't have the resources, as most of us do, to provide the kind of education that the children need. And they're our future, too. And they may very well not be able to compete with their competitors for the reason that we are doing short-sighted things like this. So of that 104, 215 people will be furloughed on Friday from Head Start in the state of Florida. And assume for the moment that now maybe I've touched on at least more than 1 million and probably as much as 2 million people around the country that are without their checks for the moment. And that said, how does that impact, as I pointed out about Sikorsky and Pratt, How does that impact McDonald's? The person that goes to work in Massachusetts that's a federal employee in a federal building around the corner from McDonald's, around the corner from the flower shop where they may take flowers home to their loved ones or what have you, those places are losing business. Every minute that we commit ourselves to this reckless and feckless undertaking that you are perpetrating on society. My friends here get bored when not only I talk, but that when I bring up that Ms. Slaughter and I grew up with a tremendous radio program for children, and it was called Let's Pretend. I can't begin to tell you the number of Saturdays that my grandmother would let me get away from my chores to lay on the one rug that we had in the living room and listen to the radio program Let's Pretend. Little did I know that 60-plus years later, I would be in a body where Let's Pretend has come to real life. Y'all know that none of this is going to become law. And it's sad for us to go through this experience. Mr. Chairman, you said earlier at the outset of the hearing, when put the query by Ms. Slaughter or the discussion with Ms. Slaughter, that we were going to pay them now. Ain't gonna pay nobody now. Tomorrow you pass all this stuff and nobody's going to get paid then. And that's for the reason that first, the Senate is not going to take anything that's piecemeal. And if you're satisfying yourselves by believing that the American people are not watching and do not understand, then I think you're making a mistake. We should go back to regular order in this institution, and I think everybody knows that. And that regular order would allow for us to not do as you have, and I compliment you for having passed 5 of the appropriations measures, and they didn't go anyplace in the Senate. And that I join you in criticizing those in the other body who, if any, were responsible for that. But I would have preferred, I've been here a couple of times when Democrats and Republicans have managed to proceed through the appropriations process and allow for the membership to have the input that would be helpful. Now, I hope, Mr. Chairman, that I have not seen the rule, nor have I spoken with anyone concerning what the rule would look like other than as it pertains to the agenda that's put forward here this evening. Yesterday or day before, I'm lost in time now, I know you put forward a put down of the previous question. And my dear friend, the ranking member, raised the question about it. I then took it upon myself to do the added research. The previous question has been an ironclad rule. Never in the history of this institution, under Republicans or Democrats, has the previous question been taken away from the bodies and the people in this body. I hope this rule does not do that. Now, I grew up around people who, some of them, con artists. I had carnivals come through town, as some of you may have, and they always had some of the biggest con artists in the world working in some of those carnivals, as entertaining as they were. But I learned early how to spot a con. I live in South Florida. That's one of the scam capitals of our nation. I moved there 50 years ago. I learned early how to spot a scam. So in my time here in Congress, I've seen and once in a while have participated in all kinds of political gimmicks. I've seen them all, at least until I got to this one. So I learned early how to spot a political gimmick. But now I'm getting a new lesson from y'all. And that's a gimmick wrapped in a scam inside a con. I guess you could call it Gimmicon scam. perhaps brought here by the reader the other day in the other body of Sam, I am. Please tell the senator from Texas, and I tell you that what you're doing ain't going to work. I yield back my time.